is a lie. We try to figure out which one is a lie, and we do that by playing along with our live streaming audience. By the way, we stream here live at the Comedy Store's YouTube's Mondays at 4:30 and Fridays, most Fridays at 8:30. Right, Jessica?
You're damn Skippy.
Damn Skippy. And we would like to say Happy New Year, everybody, and thank you for always joining us here at the Liars Club. Would you please introduce our guests?
How about George? I would love to. All right, over here, this lovely lady, she has over 90 commercials she's been in, too many guest star roles to mention. She just finished recording her special. It's called RVs and Cats, and that's going to be available on Amazon soon, so you should definitely check that out. This is Sarah J. Halstead.
Hi. Thanks very
Welcome
much
to
for
the show,
having me.
Sarah.
Thank you for coming.
It's nice
Welcome to
be
the show.
here.
And then over here to my left, we have this lovely lady. I met her when I first got to L.A. She's been on Comedy Central, MTV, True TV. She's been in movies like 50 Shades of Black and Bad Santa. She also has a special out there. Please put your hands together for Jenny Zigrino.
Zigrino.
I've never gotten it right.
I
You
don't
know
think
that,
you-
right? I'm sorry.
I just like it's still spelled out on your phone.
And what do you mean?
They're prepared.
Zigrino, and you still put the R in a different place.
Zigrino.
Zigrino, yeah. You said Zigrino.
I think
Zigrino.
people wanna
Zigrino.
fancy it
All
up.
right, that's enough of that.
Look, it's fine.
Because
I
it's
like
phonetic.
I'm sorry.
I
It is
like it.
phonetically spelled, though, and people just want to change it because
Yeah,
they're daunted by
Jessica
the Z.
just wants to
Yeah.
change it.
Let me ask you this. I didn't know, by the way, that you were in Bad Santa.
The
I
second
didn't-
one,
The
not
second
the first one.
Oh, okay. And
Yeah.
what did you do? What kind of character did you play?
I was a character named Gina. I
Uh-huh.
was a security guard, and I was a love interest of both characters.
Oh, really?
One was love, one was purely lust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, good for you.
Thank you. It was my season right now. Just all the Christmas movies, all the
All
DMs
right.
coming
yeah.
in.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go. There you go.
Chicks.
What?
Can I
Oh,
say
yeah.
something, Felicia?
All right, go ahead. Say it.
Okay, especially since it's mostly ladies here tonight, I'm really excited. I just did my first Tinder.
Wait, like you had sex with someone on
Yeah.
Tinder? Like you did
Oh,
them?
yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
Did,
god!
did.
Tell
So-
me
physically.
everything.
All right, so you went on your first date and you fucked that
No, we
guy on
just
your
had
first
sex.
date. Oh, you just had sex?
Oh, you're using Tinder old school
That's
style.
what it's for. That's
No, you
what it's
need
all about.
Grindr.
Not
What you need is
anymore.
Grindr.
That's
Yeah.
for men, dude.
Grindr
That's for gay men.
Gay men.
Yeah.
You know, or did you just
How
want to be
was
friends?
it?
you know?
It was. I had a really good time. I'm probably gonna do it again.
Same person or new person?
I'm gonna do a new person, and I'll probably do him again. But I'm gonna do a new
Yeah.
person.
This is your new thing.
Yeah, I mean, I went 3+ years without any sex at all.
Whoa.
What? Tinder's been around for 5 or more.
I was afraid to use it
Why?
because I had been on one internet date before that, and it was not good.
Yeah, they're never that good.
Right.
You know, you don't have to fuck the guy. Use Tinder just to fuck a guy.
I know,
But you
go on
can.
and
Did
get
you know
married.
that?
Yes, I
After
know.
meeting on Tinder. Yeah.
But you can.
But,
Right.
okay, you went 3.5 years without having sex. Why not just fuck a friend? Like a friend with
Oh, well, that
benefits
did
or-
happen. That's what
Oh,
kind of
okay.
catapulted this.
Oh, so
And then-
you're like, oh, I
Oh wait,
missed
so you
that.
fucked a friend and then you're like, I need to do this again.
Well, and him
with
and
a
him and I did
stranger.
that again. But then it was like, okay, this is gonna be weird, so we stopped.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, I don't want to stop. So
haven't.
Okay. The monster has arisen.
Yeah.
you're not even. You want me to tell you another secret?
Okay.
We gotta
Today,
go to mood cheeses.
I don't even know if you can call it this. I don't know. Nowadays, things change, but I had like phone sex, but I guess FaceTime sex
Nice.
Yeah.
today. Yeah. That,
Nice.
So you're on a
Today?
roll.
Yeah,
Jesus
yeah.
Oh,
Christ.
you're fresh.
You've been awakened.
Look at the mood
Why
she's
you're
in.
glowing.
She's
Wow.
in such a good mood. Right when I got here, she goes, I'm in a good mood.
No, you look beautiful.
thank you.
You are.
Ah!
She does have a
You
glow.
get that fresh cum
Wow.
face.
You're
What?
like,
I'm trying to do like a
Yeah.
healthier 2020, and I think that being, having a healthy sex life is
That's
part
right.
of that.
I
Agreed.
agree.
All
Fuck
right.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
should have
I
figured
think you
something
was
was
very
up
important.
when you were posting shit about roasting broccoli. Like someone's trying to get in shape.
Yeah, life is good.
Oh, wonderful.
I
You-
know
I
you're
think-
going
I
for
think
broccoli, too.
You've inspired me because I've been on Tinder and there've been a couple of days like, oh, I just want to fuck, and I'm like, ew. And now I'm like, no, I'm gonna just do
Dude,
it.
I
I'm
mean,
gonna just
I
do
have
it.
some hot ones, dude, that I know we would never be in a relationship, but fuck, dude. And they're younger than me, and I'm like, okay.
Oh, I'm dipping into the 25. I'm like, let's just see. I just want to see what this young wiener's all about.
Yeah, it's not bad, dude.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
God, I have a 18 and a 20-year-old. I can't fuck younger guys.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
it's
Can't.
gross. I can't
We're not
do
that
it.
young.
Right, but still.
Yeah, but 25, 24 maybe. 20,
I fuck with a 24-year-old.
yeah, I think it's fine.
I had one
Well, you
time.
guys are still young. What are you talking about? You can do that.
Well,
Why can't
there's
you do
it's
that?
still a 10-year difference.
Yeah.
How
Oh,
old are you,
okay,
Michael?
you look
28.
younger.
You're 28.
right.
Poor Michael over here. By the way, Austin, our on-air producer, is still on vacation. That fuck. So
God damn it.
we have our other on-air producer, the wonderful Michael Evans, sitting in for
Hi.
Austin. We also
Yay.
have Brett Erickson, who is running the cameras. He will be playing along. Please put the camera on yourself and say hello, Brett.
Hello, everybody.
He's thrilled to be here. He had actually a
Brett's a
wonderful.
gas.
I know.
Yeah.
Brett's awesome, but he had a wonderful experience in Vegas where you sold out your podcast, right?
We did a couple of live
Congrats.
podcasts in
Yeah,
Vegas.
good for you.
And yeah, I'm still sort of recovering.
Yeah. Do you want to plug your podcast?
It's called Issues with Andy, and it comes out on YouTube on Fridays.
Oh, nice, nice. Well,
Thank
thank you
you.
for switching up the camera. And why don't we move along and do some of our stories? What we do is when they tell the stories, that'll be one is a truth, one is a lie. You'll start out, and then you'll do it, and then you'll do it. And
There was
we'll
no
rotate it
comments on
around.
my Tinder stuff?
No, Ken Lofgren made sure to say today. Hell
Thank
yeah,
you.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Come on, thank you, Ken.
Shout out
Oh
Ken
my
Doll.
God, Jessica, you were probably fucking that guy like, I can't wait to tell people.
Boy,
Can't
came
wait.
out right away.
I'm happy
Well, I
for
feel
you.
like
Just
this is
on
my
that
life
shit.
now anyway. I just say, I
yeah.
tell everything, and I'm
Yeah.
going to tell you guys what's going on.
about
Okay,
your
well,
truth.
good. I'm
Hell
happy.
yeah.
for
And you know what? There'll be guys out there who will be excited that
Yeah.
you'll be telling
No,
people about
Yeah.
it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yucking
Men
and
are
fucking
you
And
up.
then-
Jessica
Oh.
Wellington.
Gonna get
Oh, I
all the
like that.
DMs.
Yuck and fuck.
Yuck and fuck. Give me the old
Also, a great one. Pump and dump.
pump and
Up
dump.
and down.
Yeah.
Pump and dump.
That's a real thing?
Yeah.
Or is this a story? Is this
No,
part
this is
of
real.
the-
A pump and dump.
The old pump and
Did you
dump.
go
Yeah.
first?
By the way,
you go first.
Thank you for listening, Kim. We're glad that you're back, and we appreciate all our listeners. And we want you to know that our sponsor is Blue
Blue
Apron.
Apron.
If you ever wanted to try a healthy food delivery service, why not give Blue Apron a try? If you do think that you're going to try it, or you're just poking around, and you check out,
Is that a dick reference?
and you get to the code box, put in liars at the code box, and you'll get 30% off. Please do us that big favor. We'll play
Maybe
a commercial a little later on.
Your next one will just be wearing a blue apron when you show up.
Take back dinner, baby.
And maybe he'll really work for Blue Apron. Like,
Yeah.
he'll be the sponsor.
All right, so let's start it. Jenny, why don't you start your first story?
Okay. So I'm from Minnesota. And we would have in my house, we would have in the neighborhood like the like the traveling fairs that come and like hang out in the parking lot.
Okay, like your county fair.
Kind of like
your-
a county fair.
Carnival.
So we
Which is
had
one of the ones like at a shopping center.
yeah. Like they would just set up and then like for a weekend and then everyone would just hang out.
Right.
So we had this one and there was a ride there called the Zipper. Do you guys know the Zipper?
Yep.
Yes.
So you guys know the Zipper. For those of you who don't know, it's like all these little carts kind of stacked on top of each other and they flip and go upside down. And they
Well,
occasionally
that
go
goes.
around and then they stop and they go around. And sometimes you're upside down, sometimes you're not. I decided on the Zipper, and it was a fun day of funnel cakes and all sorts of good stuff. Being a young kid, get on the Zipper, and we go up, and it's spinning around and going upside down. Something does not sit well with me, mostly a funnel cake, and we're at the top. It's spinning. I get sick. We're upside down. I throw up in the Zipper. It goes down and drips into the next Zipper. And then it's just like keeps going into the Zipper.
You threw
And
up
it's
over
just-
all over everybody.
Yeah, and I think more people were throwing up. I was spinning
Yeah,
and
because
dying.
you threw up.
So it was just like a, oh God, what's that kind of water fountain where like the bucket fills up and then it goes
Oh,
down the next,
right.
and that bucket fills up and it goes down again.
Yeah.
How old were you?
Like 12.
And you were you there alone or with who you were there with? Again?
No, I had a friend with me.
But you were there alone.
I
just
threw
you and
up.
you and your friend
Yeah,
at 12.
She
Did you
got
throw up on
vomit
your
all over her
Oh, she
TikTok.
did?
And did
Okay.
she throw up
Yeah.
from smelling your
I was
throw up?
gonna
No,
say,
she didn't
yeah.
throw up. She's a
Oh.
pretty strong stomach.
Okay.
We're still friends to this day.
I'm that friend.
Wow.
If someone throws up, then I throw
That's
up.
that is like a ride or die friend.
Now, do you remember when you got off the ride, if they hosed the ride down or anyone said
No.
anything to you? Or were you guys like, run?
We're like, let's go.
Really?
Oh hell yeah! You
Yeah.
can just get out of there, right?
Yeah.
You
I
just
was like, I'm
left.
done.
What you thought nobody would know who it was?
I mean,
Except
what do you do? You're 12 and you're like, I just threw up on everybody on this ride.
I threw up on the
I think
bus.
they did close the ride for a minute to like clean it off.
they
But
did.
they're fucking carnies. They don't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
they
even
don't
county
care.
fair shit. It's one of those like Kmart parking lot fairs. They probably just
yeah.
ran that
Yeah,
shit. Next
yeah.
group, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Wow. I once at Christmas time, my brother and I had bunk beds, and he ate uncooked like fruit bread or fruit cake or something like that, and he threw up like between the bunk bed and the wall all the way down, and I was sleeping up against the wall, and I woke up at like 2. I used to have really long hair, and I woke up at 2 in the morning. I was like, "What the fuck is like? What
Yeah.
the fuck?" Oh,
Did
it
you
was so-
vomit?
No, but it was disgusting, and my stepmother had to get me up and go wash my hair. And
Oh.
did it get in her hair?
Did it get in her? Wait.
Her hair? Your
Oh, in
friend's
my
hair?
friend's
Yeah.
hair. No, her ponytail.
Yeah, in her ponytail.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's her hair.
That is her
No, it
hair.
was in a
She's
ponytail.
wearing a
Oh.
hairpiece.
So it
Oh,
wasn't. It
okay.
didn't like go down and hit
Uh-huh.
the top of the
Did it get on
thing
you
where
at
the
all?
vomit. Yeah.
All over you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's
you were
vomit.
upside down.
Yeah, and then it spins back around.
Yeah.
Did you feel better when you got off? Or you
Yeah.
were sick all day?
Did
you know
people
Felt great.
did people understand what was happening when it slowed down? Were they like, "What the fuck?"
I mean, look, panic. I think it came down. People started panicking. They started vomiting. It goes down.
Wow, it's
They
just
let
a-
me down, and then I get off the ride, and I'm like, we need to get the fuck out of here. And so we run.
Well,
We're
see,
like two little Hot Topic goth kids at this time.
so
It's just
Michael
like-
asked you if your friend threw up, but she didn't. But you're saying now that the other people in the
I
ride-
think they did.
Oh,
Yeah.
Or maybe it was just my vomit that just kept going.
Did
Did
down
you
and
see
down.
it? Like when you were in the cage, did you see it travel to the other cages?
I know that it went down, like when it came out, it did go out of the cage. So it probably did hit him. It was like there's a bar and then there was like mesh cage.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Brett?
I believe this one
You do? Why is that?
because I've been to shitty county fairs and ridden those terrible rides. So this sounds like a very believable story to me so far.
Funnel
But this
cake
is
and
one that
movement.
you put up in a parking lot.
Yeah, they all are.
Yeah,
But-
or a
well-
field or something like that.
I think
yeah.
this was a movie theater parking
Yeah.
lot.
Mm.
Huh.
All
And
the
they
little
had the
towns,
zipper there.
like the little town I grew up in, we had our like summer fest days,
Yeah.
and they would set up little rides in on Main Street.
Yeah, we did that during the pickle festival, but I
And
don't
it
think
was
we.
always sketchy.
As Jessica likes to
Oh,
call
you
her
said
Tinder
it
dates.
you said it. You said
Ken,
it's so matter of fact. Yeah, we used to do it during the pickle festival. I get it.
Ken Lofgren grew up right near the state fair, so he said this ride's a pastime for him, and he's also trying to eat dinner. So this actually
Oh,
sucks.
well, too bad.
Aw, sorry,
Yeah.
Ken,
Hey, she was
sorry,
trying to eat
Ken.
funnel cake. What do you
Yeah.
want me to do? You know?
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry about that. All right, well, that's a first solid good story. I mean, we are a podcast, but we're also a game, and I think you're a good player because that's simple. You get to the point.
I don't
it's
think
a
I
good
believe it, but
Really?
yeah, no.
Why?
And she's like, "Oh, I threw up," and it was like, "Oh, dude," and then she doesn't really know if it hit anybody. She didn't say anybody screamed,
Right,
or
right.
nothing. She's just
That's a
like,
good
"It
point.
probably
Yeah.
did."
Yeah, and
I was vomiting.
Disoriented too.
I
You're
wasn't like,
spinning.
"Ugh, wait, everyone, what's happening?
Yeah, that's. A
I was
good
just
you
point.
like,
would've
I'm
remembered.
vomiting.
I
I'm
believe
stuck
it.
in this. Get me out of here. Me and my little goth pants
You
running
didn't
away.
care
By
about
the
the
way,
other people around you.
incidentally, on Craigslist, like maybe 2-3 weeks ago, I found a zipper, also known as the squirrel cages, on Craigslist for $34,000. I bet they'd take 30 straight up
wow.
if we wanted to buy one.
A squirrel cage?
No,
No,
it's like the
the
whole
zipper,
zipper.
the
Oh,
ride.
zipper cages.
You could buy the ride to have if you had your own space for it.
How did you come across this?
It was just on Craigslist. I swear to God, it was a real
How do
link.
we get a zipper? Do you want to recreate this?
I found a website that sold
Do you
sells
want
old fair
to? We
stuff.
could myth bust this shit.
Yeah.
I bet that all started when you were looking for your new
1983.
apartment, right?
Yes, it did. Yeah, I might buy the Gravitron just to live in it. Remember that one?
Oh, the one when
that was
around?
my
Stick to the
favorite.
wall.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
got sick on that
Fuck
one.
that.
did?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, the
That's our first
Gravitron?
story.
Yeah.
That's
All right.
when you just look at everybody and you're like, don't you fucking throw up. Don't you fucking throw up.
But then you would like go up, and then you would like make yourself sideways.
Yeah.
Upside down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they had the ones though that would, when it did do the thing, it would go up, like the
The Roundup. That's what
Yeah.
that one was called.
and kids' heads would like get like their hair would get stuck in there.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wowee.
Hey, Raver Basher, how are you? Thank you for joining the show. All right, let's go on to your story, Sarah.
Okay.
He's flirting with you all the time. That's why you said that.
Yeah.
You should. Now you're all holier than thou that you got some dick, Jessica. I just want to say.
yeah.
Let me and Raver Basher have a moment.
No,
All right, go ahead.
I just want whatever blush you're using. When I was born, I was born with a rare condition called polyactyly. Have you heard of this?
No.
Polyactyly. It's rare, but it's not that rare. 1 in 100,000 people have it, and it's basically when you're born with an extra finger or toe. And
Yay, I
was
like
born-
it already.
I was born with a sixth toe on my right foot,
Uh-huh.
and because I was a newborn, my parents were like, let's take care of it. It's a really simple surgery,
Uh-huh.
and let's just never tell her about it, and she'll never know because we don't want her to feel, less than or like freakish or whatever. So I never knew, but I had like a bunion on my right side of my foot, and I just thought that's how my foot was. And but what they did not tell my parents, and what's even more rare than this disease, is once in a great while it will grow back.
Uh-huh.
I saw this on one of the Dr. Pimple Popper things where they were going to take off. It was like a tail. It looked like a tail on this woman. And she's like, we might not get it all. It's probably going to grow back. And it had already grown back once. Your toe probably could do that.
Yeah. Wow, a tail. I'm very grateful that
Yeah.
it was a toe. I thought it was the end of the world, but it could have been worse.
You had a tail.
So I was a ballerina. I had a dream of being a ballerina. As
Would
a
that make you a
kid.
better ballerina, though? More
It
balanced?
made me worse. So you would. That's a good point, but no,
a
it
great
made it
point.
very like I did everything humanly possible to avoid people seeing my feet because this bunion was getting bigger and bigger and longer.
How
and
old were
longer.
you?
Now I am like probably like 7.5, 8 years old, and my feet are growing rapidly, and it's getting to the point where I can't fit my right foot into a ballet shoe, a
I have
toe
a
shoe.
quick question. Is it a little toe that grew in
It's a
or
little toe.
big toe? That
toe.
makes a big difference.
does make a
So
big
it's
difference.
it's on the end of my right little toe,
Uh-huh.
the one that went wee all the way home. That one
Uh-huh.
that's next to
Okay.
it.
Uh-huh.
And now I'm doing everything to avoid
You didn't
people
tell your parents?
No, I thought I was a freak. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't know that I had this disease or that I was born with this condition. So it's growing back. I'm completely embarrassed and mortified and like thinking that I'm morphing into something because I'm just a little kid. And it took me quitting ballet because in ballet, I'm from Flint, Michigan. The winters were cold, and we had to, take off our boots and.
What if it was the
and-
water that
and
did it?
Maybe. It could.
You're a mutant.
I drank the water. Yeah,
Oh my God.
I'm born and raised in Flint,
Forgot
Michigan.
Flint, yeah.
Yeah, so it took me like quitting ballet, and my mother knew something was wrong, and I was crying that night after I told them that I quit and I didn't want to do ballet, and I was crying, and she came into my room, and I showed her my foot, and she's like, "Oh, honey," and then we got it taken care of, and I still have the bunion on the right side of my foot.
Is it growing back
Poly-
now?
No, it's not. It's not. That was it.
So did they
Yeah.
take you to the doctor to have it looked at?
They did, yeah.
And
And
did
I
they
had
try
I had it surgically removed
again?
again.
Yeah.
It's sort of like shaving a bunion.
You start
you
ballet
know.
again?
It's very, very. No, I never went back.
That was
to,
the end of your
that was
career?
the end of my.
Did it
So
have
if
a
it-
toenail? Did it have a toenail?
It didn't get to that point, but it was growing.
I
Yeah.
find this story a little difficult though
I know.
because
If it
What-
grew back once, will it grow back again though?
It might grow back again. It hasn't yet, but it could.
You'd get 10 minutes out of it for sure.
Yeah.
Should let it grow in.
You think I should?
Yeah, it'd be material.
Yeah.
You know? Bummer you
think
just filmed the
This
special.
is why I think it's kind of weird because I think when your kids are that little, like you are still clipping their toenails and stuff. Like if my kid had a weirdness that was taken care of, and then because my kid had a mole on his head, so even now still because the doctor said you got to keep an eye on. I still look at that mole that your parents wouldn't constantly be looking at your feet, especially if they knew that could grow back.
Well,
they didn't. They didn't know that. She said they did not know that.
Yeah,
Didn't know what.
they did
That
not.
it would grow back.
Right. I don't know.
I
That's
don't know,
why they
kids are
never told me
pretty-
about it.
Yeah.
Kids are pretty industrious at keeping weird secrets.
I know, but when they're that little and you're still making them take baths and still like your kids' feet are in your face.
Oh,
and,
I did
Yeah.
everything to hide my feet.
yeah.
I constantly had socks,
How-
slippers.
How long of
never
a
took off-
period of time do you think this encompassed?
Probably 2 years of gradual growth.
Whoa.
Yeah, and it really, really bothered me when because toe shoes are really narrow,
Uh-huh.
and I just couldn't. I was like Cinderella's step
Yeah.
sister. I just couldn't fit my
Ugh.
toe in that.
Felicia has the one
And
big
my-
foot.
I
one
have.
little
I
foot.
was just thinking about my experience because when I was a kid, I was in an accident where my left foot was severed at the ankle, but they put it back together. It was a very horrific accident, and then it didn't. It's about a size smaller than my other foot, right? And when I was married, my ex-husband was really into feet.
Oh no.
And sometimes during a moment of passion, he would pick up my big foot, or as I like to call it, my work foot. And then I would have to like change sexual positions to throw him off, and then I would offer up my little foot instead because it's very pretty.
Wow. The one that got severed is pretty.
The one that got severed, the ankle is a little banged up, but it's real tiny. It's real tiny. But then I have my work foot, which I do everything with, and that thing's a fucking monster.
You do everything with.
Whoa.
What do you do
What are you
regularly with
doing
your
in there
foot?
with
Yeah.
that?
Like
What?
Kicking field
Kicking
goals, yeah.
stuff when you're in yoga and you got to go on one leg. I do it on that fucking foot.
Wait, what?
But can you do it on the other foot?
I can, but I'm a little wobbly because it is, I'm totally fine. I don't walk with. They always said I
Yeah.
would walk with a limp, but I find it interesting that your parents would know that, even though because that was like a
Yeah.
weird thing to happen back then to have your.
It was such a rare condition.
Yeah.
1 in 100,000 people.
And did your
and,
parents stay together?
Yes, they did. Yeah, until my mom's passing.
Wow.
Yeah,
And do you have brothers and sisters?
yes, I do.
And did they have any extra limbs hanging out?
No, I'm the only one, and I haven't told anyone about it.
Would it be a
Have you
limb?
told
Is it
them?
a
I don't
toe,
know.
a
I don't
limb?
know. I
Because
was
maybe they're keeping the
struggling.
same secret.
Yeah. What about? yes.
Yeah,
you-
one of them has a
One of them's got a tail. Yeah.
Actually, my older brother does know. My
Yeah.
older brother knows. My half brother, who's much younger, does not know. But
Does
my older
not know.
brother
He's got
He
two
knows
dicks.
now.
and
He knows
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are people saying online?
People are saying, well, Raver Basher wants to know where the Flint, Michigan ballet is nowadays. What happened to the rest of those girls?
What happened to what?
The rest of those girls in the ballet. They're all normal. They're good to go. You
Uh,
got out, it looks like.
Yeah, maybe they all drank the Flint water and have the
You
same
might have done
condition.
yourself a service because ballet dancers get their feet all fucked up anyway. Like you
They're-
would have been.
They're still fucked up. I was in it long enough where I have the
Really?
ugliest feet ever imaginable.
Yeah, ballet
Like, I
dancers
would-
are pretty gnarly
yeah.
looking.
You don't
They're
got a work
pretty.
foot
Yeah, they
though,
are.
do you?
Ooh.
You got a work
All right,
club
let's
feet. Yeah,
let's
yeah.
move it on. How about let's go to your second story?
A second story. Okay, it's another vomit story. Is the
Ah.
audience ready?
Really?
It's a theme.
Which vomit's true? Okay.
So again, back in Minnesota, small town, we would do things like barn parties.
Yeah, we have
Hell
a
yeah.
club
Sure.
out in Calypso that's in a bar or in a barn, and
Yeah.
they can't serve alcohol, but you can bring a cooler.
So
I
my
love
friends
it.
and I,
That sounds like fun.
we all
That
went.
sounds so
I'd go.
fun.
I'd go right now.
Yeah, let's
Right?
go.
So my friends and I got invited to this barn party by my friend who was like, "Oh, it's gonna be bands and stuff." So I assumed no parents, and I had no parents home at the time, and I had gotten a 24-pack of Coors.
What?
Yeah, and
How old
no,
were
I did
you?
have parents there. Parents were there. Sorry.
How old were you?
16.
And you got a 24-pack of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it like light Coors, like 3.2
It was like Coors Light.
or something like? Not
Yeah,
very...
I forget how we procured this
Uh-huh.
this pack. And we get to the barn party, which is in this place called White Bear Lake. And we get there, and there are definitely parents there. Many parents. They even like tell me where to park my car. And so I have this whole pack of beer in the back and with my 3 friends, and I was like, "Man, fuck this. Let's drink this beer and show them what partying's all about." And so
Had you drank
The southern
before?
accent.
so all of us like drank it, and they were like sipping it, and I want to be like, "Nah, check it out." So I chugged this can of beer. I immediately
Had you
was
drank
like,
ever before?
not beer. Like, I don't know. I was stupid. So I chugged this beer to prove to my friends I was cool. And then about a second later, I was like, "Oh no." And then I vomited all over myself from the beer in my car. Like, it went onto the floor. It got into like where you lift up the gas thing.
Yeah.
It got all in there.
Impossible to get out of that.
And no, I mean, it was a nightmare. And they started laughing uncontrollably, all of them. And on top of it, my dad and I did have tacos that night.
Oh.
So it was a mess. And so then I had to get out of the car, covered in my own vomit, and then go into the main house to like clean up. And it was a big barn party with like maybe like 100 kids there. And I get into the bathroom, and it's like all these like really pretty girls, and I'm just covered in vomit, looking grungy as fuck. The parents are like, "What's happening?" I have to go clean myself up of the vomit. But then I also am like, I can't drive. I had 1 can of beer. So I had to like sit there for like another hour, and then finally I was like, "We're leaving. I don't want to be here anymore." And then I forced my friends to go back with me.
So you vomited on 1 can of drinking 1 can of beer.
Projectile
Coors Light,
vomit.
it is not tasty.
No.
Hey, it's not so
Maybe
bad.
it was expired and you didn't know.
No.
Expired beer. Shut up.
I think
Was that beer made in Flint, Michigan?
She's always coming up with
I
crazy
had a-
stuff. Maybe the beer had an extra toe, you know?
I had a bad can of Keystone Light once.
I'm a Keystone man through and through. I don't know if there's such thing as a bad can of Keystone Light.
Well, it's not excellent.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm joking.
yeah, come on. That's high life. That is
Well, I think
champagne
you're a
beers.
very good player because by telling 2 stories that are in some ways similar, that makes it hard to decide.
We know she threw up on herself.
yeah,
We know
yeah,
that for a
yeah,
fact
yeah.
because
it's 100%.
So
Yeah.
you
'Cause
procured.
that's the main part of the story.
Yeah.
So you got the beer, but you don't quite remember how you got that beer.
No.
How is that? How do you not remember?
I don't
how you
remember.
Got, really?
First time
we
drinking
got beer all
too.
the time
Yeah.
and stuff. I don't remember every time we got.
Yeah, but your first time?
Your first time though.
No, I don't remember my first time. I was already doing meth and stuff before this.
Well, can you remember the first time you got your meth? Do you remember that
the
story?
very first time,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was Sarah next door that had me do it, but I can't remember.
Not
Old
not
six
me.
toe Sarah next door.
That's something I would do, but it wasn't
It
me.
is Flint. Flint was crazy.
All right. What are people saying online there, Michael?
Raver Basher says, "Don't drink and drive. You might spill it."
Yeah, okay, that is really good advice.
What Minnesota town are you from? Also, Raver Basher. Also.
I'm from several places: Eden Prairie, Hopkins, Minnetonka.
Minnetonka. That sounds fun.
Mhm.
Minnetonka, the
It sure
moccasins
does.
are made. That's
Oh,
Really?
You know Minnetonka
Oh
moccasins?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
All
I had a
right.
pair of those.
And then
What-
Prince
for
is
my
the next
specialty.
town over. Prince is from Chanhassen.
There you go.
Next town over from Eden Prairie.
What do you
know?
think?
Do you want to know a horror story that I
Yeah.
heard whenever I was doing Uber Eats? Right. So we would trade throw up stories on who's thrown up in each other's cars, doing Uber. And this one guy had a guy that threw up, was trying to make it out the window, didn't make it, and it smelled horrific, and it went down into the crack of the window and went down into the door. So it smelled horrible, and he had to eventually take it to a place and have them take the door off and clean it all out.
Oh,
Oh
wow.
my God.
That's
Bitch.
disgusting. What do you think about these stories,
Uber.
Brett?
Well, I think that story was totally disgusting. Thank you, Jessica.
You're
Yes.
that is
Welcome.
real
That's way
gross.
worse.
I think that I now think that Jenny's first story was the lie,
Why is that?
because the second story just it rang true to me like teenagers,
Uh-huh.
and the first story seems now like maybe a little convenient to have it. Oh, I threw up on the other people, and then it went to the other. It dripped on all the other people on the ride. One of them's got to be a lie.
Maybe she was
Yeah,
trying.
no, he's got
Right?
a point.
One of them's got to be a lie.
That one, he's
One
right
of
though.
them
The
has to
first
be a
one,
lie.
the first one did seem very realistic until the second one.
Second one
Yeah, the
seems
second
more
one
real.
is pretty
Yeah.
mild.
They're
Hmm?
yeah,
Hmm.
they're both totally believable things that could happen independently. But I guess the second one seems more true. I don't know why.
So you mean to tell me that when you went to the fair, did a parent drop you off?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Now that we got that out of the way.
And then you ran home.
Just
Oh wait,
everything.
but you said you ran when you left the fair. You're like, we just got off that ride and fucking bolted, right? You ran.
Yeah, out of the park.
Out of the park, and then what'd you do?
Just hung out till Dad showed up.
Till Dad. Okay. Was he? You didn't want to get the fuck out of there. You're feeling kind of queasy.
What am I gonna do?
You're right. There's nothing you could do. You could yell, I suppose,
Yeah.
but no
You're
phones.
kind of
at the time.
cagey. You're like a cagey little liar. Because I can't
A
fucking
zipper.
figure you out,
Cagey
Jenny.
little
I'm all like,
liars.
what the fuck is going on? Wow, you're good at
Her
this game.
pupils are
My
wide.
dad showed up in the Acura.
Okay.
2-seater or 4-seater?
Four seats.
Or I mean 2-door, 4-door.
4-door.
Okay.
Wait, what?
Oh.
Well, if it was a 2-door and she had to do that thing where you lift the seat up to get in the back seat,
Yeah,
that's a good way to get car sick on the way home too.
I'll just say my dad's a trooper. He's been around for a lot of me vomiting on things.
Wow.
Okay. All right, well, let's move on to your second story, Sarah.
Okay. So when I was 4 years old, my parents had enrolled me in kindergarten a year early because they thought I was advanced. And about
Little did they know. No,
about a month in, I just quit responding to people.
what?
And people would call my name, they would ask a question, and I would just act like I could not hear them. So
In kindergarten?
in kindergarten. So I'm
Uh-huh.
4 years old,
Uh-huh.
and I remember this happening, and it was because I could not pronounce my R's and my th,
Uh-huh.
and it made me really self-conscious. So I didn't want to talk. So I just quit responding. I just didn't want to.
Uh-huh.
I felt stupid. That was the irony. So my parents took me to the Michigan School of the Deaf, Ann Arbor. Well, I took a lot of local tests, and they thought that they detected a hearing problem. And it went all the way to the Michigan School of the Deaf in Ann Arbor, which is about an hour north of Flint. And they actually diagnosed me with extreme hearing loss and said that I needed to be enrolled in a special school for the deaf. So for the rest of the year, I was in deaf school.
But you could hear fine.
I could hear fine. I was faking the entire thing. Wow. And then
I will tell you one thing I do remember about kindergarten is I remember going in so excited, and I was like, telling they were doing the orientation, and I remember running to the teacher, and I was like, I can already spell is and it and of and the, and I was
And
excited.
meth. And crack whore. And food stamps.
in Tinder.
That was great. That was hot jokes. Hey, you know what I remember about kindergarten is I remember finding out one girl was younger than the rest of us. She was 4. Her name was Emily. Never said a fucking word. I don't know what her
Really?
voice sounded like ever.
Self-conscious, yeah.
Same
Yeah,
shit.
It's a lot of pressure.
Well, when I took my kids to kindergarten, my youngest guy, they had me take him to go get tested because they said that something was wrong with him, like he wouldn't talk. And then he would do this thing, like, because we would pull up in the car and they would take him out of the car seat, right? This is actually preschool. And he was like 4. And then one day he would do this where he would get all stiff, like he would do that. And then they were like, you got to go get this motherfucker tested. And then I turned to him and I'm like, why do you do that? And then he goes, shy.
I knew he was
That
my
is
favorite.
adorable.
Yeah.
That's the
So it's
cutest
like
thing.
sometimes kids do weird things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever have anything with one of your kids, Brett?
No, not really. I'm not a weirdo like all of you guys.
Really, none of your kids
No, I
did a
don't-
weird thing.
I
like,
don't. I mean, not like kindergarten weird. I don't remember that there being any weird things like that. They're normal kindergarten. I mean, they're straight A students and they're perfect. So,
All right.
Man, you got lucky.
Yeah.
well,
you
I
did.
didn't let them smoke meth.
Yeah. Let him.
Good parenting.
Hey, wait. So that ended with. So you were faking the entire thing.
I was faking the entire thing, and then finally I went into a sound booth where they just blared the sound level, and I jumped. And so then they went back to my parents, and they said that I'm not advanced. I'm just dumb.
Like, what did they mean?
Damn.
Like deaf and dumb?
Oh, nice,
No, I
Jess.
was. They said
Just
they
dumb.
said I had. They
Regular
said
dumb.
they said I had selective hearing.
Selective.
Like you hear what you want to hear.
Yeah.
I just can't
That's called being
imagine
an asshole.
if someone said my kid was. I don't buy into this one at all because if
You think she's got the toe?
I think now I'm like, you got yourself a 6-toe bitch. No, I don't buy into that one at all because, like, if someone said to me your kid is deaf, I would be like crashing shit behind them. Especially you would already know by the time you got into kindergarten if your kid was deaf or not. Because in my other son, they had those the new Volkswagen Bugs, right? And
I had one of those.
When they first came out, there was a color that was like this golden weird color, and he kept thinking it was like a greenish goldish color, and he said it's like pink. And I said that to the doctor, and they gave him like a colorblind test, and they're like, no, he totally passes it. And I was like, no, something's up because I'm telling you, he's not seeing things correctly. And sure enough, they did more tests, and he was colorblind. So I can't imagine that if your parents would just be
The youngest one is colorblind?
no, my Cruz is colorblind. Yeah, the older one is colorblind. So I can't imagine that your parents would be like, yeah, but I whispered once from the back and I called her name and she came. Like, I can't imagine that. Yeah, so I just don't buy into that at all.
You said that they would know definitely by kindergarten. Remember that it was a 1 year early enrollment, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
And
but your
selective
kid is
hearing.
already like blah, 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 right? How old were your kids when they were all talking and stuff, Brett? Put down your phone and participate.
11.
11. 11.
Yeah.
I will say though, yeah, like okay, coming from the Midwest as well, I understand how like that shit would happen. However, it's just like
Well, one way or another, she either hit a toe
Okay, I guess.
or hid deafness.
Yeah, like all right. I guess
There's a
my kid
theme.
is stupid. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, no, like that's. I feel like that's just the midway where we're just like authority says something, and we're just like, oh yeah, okay.
So, but you
Oh, I
were
get it.
talking until kindergarten, and then in kindergarten you just stopped, and then they were like, all of a sudden you're deaf.
I gradually quit talking because I was aware of my speech impediment. So it was making me self-conscious.
When
And
did
I
the-
felt like people couldn't
You
understand
were that
me.
self-conscious at 4?
So I remember
I
that.
get it.
Really?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember being so.
That's
Yeah.
kind of
I
sad.
don't
I was
know.
embarrassed
I
of
just
things in
didn't, as
kindergarten.
that young, I didn't give a fuck, dude.
Yeah.
What are
You
people
still don't
online
really give a
saying?
fuck,
That's
though.
What are
why
people
you're a great
online saying?
comic.
Kenneth Lofgren thinks it's a lie 100%.
Right, Kenneth? Right?
I mean, oh fuck, I had a god. Oh yeah, when did the impediment go away? How long did you have the speech impediment?
That went away like in the 8th grade with a lot of speech class.
You were the kid that
speech
like randomly
therapy.
leaves class to go to
Yep,
speech.
I was that kid.
Wow. Did you get to
Yes.
come back one day when you had figured out finally how to say one of the things you couldn't and get to say it in front of everybody?
Yeah.
Do you remember the
But I
things you
was-
said when you had to go out of class to go to speech classes? Do you remember, like, because I remember I couldn't say my S's, so I had to say things like, Sally sold seashells by the seashore over and over and
I
over
said-
and over.
I had to say 13 because I couldn't say the and R. So 13, I would say 14. And my
Yes.
name was Sewa.
Oh,
That's
okay.
adorable.
We
That
had
is
a
adorable.
Yeah.
we had a guy in
That's
our
pretty
class
cute.
named Ruben that in all our lives we knew him. He couldn't say his R's, and then he came in one day in like the 6th grade and just opens the door back to the class. It's silent, and he goes "er" and just says an R. And we all just went nuts. We're like, yeah! It was pandemonium.
What do you think,
Ruben?
Brett?
I do not buy the pretending to be deaf
Yeah,
story.
I don't, yeah. I
I don't
think your
think you can
parents
pull it off.
yeah.
I think that there would be, like remember the scene in the Brady Bunch when the guy backed into Mrs. Brady's car, and then he was going to sue the Bradys, and he had his little neck brace on, and then Mr. Brady tricked him by dropping his briefcase
Yeah, the
on
old
the
neck
ground,
brace bit.
and then he spun around because it frightened him. I think there would be too many chances for stuff like that to happen.
I
where you
agree.
give it
Like
away.
I
Brady.
agree. Let me ask you: when you brought up the Brady Bunch, were you afraid that no one would get that reference?
No, not at
Okay.
all.
All right.
It's a very popular
God.
show.
Okay.
I mean, this is my
People are
take on
still
this.
watching.
I think that Sarah's an actress and she is a comedian, and by defect, whatever you call it, she has to
Default.
be weird.
Yeah.
Default.
Yeah.
Fault. We're weird.
Yeah.
I could see you getting
I'm a
away
strange dude.
with being silent and not hiding a toe, though. I don't think you hit a toe.
All right. Well, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna throw to commercial, and when we get back, Michael here is going to do the recap, and then we're gonna take a vote.
Okay.
All right. So we
exciting.
threw to commercial.
Nice throw.
Title.
Good talk.
The commercial. This is high tech.
I know, we edit it in later, so we don't
We
have
just
torture
Comedy
the people
Store
that are
offer
playing
that.
online. All right. So Michael, why don't you do the quick recap? Unless you think there's something that someone has added that you would like to talk about.
I think we can get into the recap.
Okay, let's
Who do you
do
guys
it.
want to start with
Let's
here?
start with Jenny.
All right. Well, so Jenny's first story. You grew up in Minnesota. There's a lot of, like big parking lot, Kmart type of, not theme park, but carnival type of stuff. Jenny
Yep.
went on the zipper, also known as the squirrel cages in some parts of the country.
Mhm.
You puked while it was upside down. It fell out of your cage into the next cage. Other people started puking because of your puke. It's perpetually going in a big pukey zipper.
Mhm.
And then you got off the ride, got the fuck out of there until Dad came.
All right.
Second story, you're at a barn party because you grew up in Minnesota. There's going to be
Minnesota?
bands. Minnesota. You're at a barn party. There's going to be bands and stuff. You thought there'd be no parents there. You're 16 years old. You chug your first beer. You throw up all over yourself. You go into the bathroom to clean it off.
Mhm.
There's pretty girls in there, and the parents are wondering what the fuck you're doing. You can't drive home because you've been drinking one beer, but responsible.
Yeah.
And then later you did. About an hour later, right?
What?
See, she doesn't remember. How long
Leave?
did you wait? Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry, this is the recap. That's the recap
Yeah.
for Jenny's
right.
stories.
Okay, the first story, like, how can you be throwing up and going in the zipper and then seeing at the same time where all your puke is going? So I think the first story is a lie. I think the first story is a lie.
Maybe she could hear people screaming, "Oh my God!"
I've never
Yeah, I mean, you can see
And here-
the vomit come out of it.
actually witnessed or seen this, but because I was looking into her eyes and her pupils got way big on the second story. Like almost her whole eye was the pupil.
I know,
Right?
but look at her eyes now. She's
Oh,
got
so you're
huge
saying,
pupils.
so you're saying
Yeah,
she's
but
on
it was-
drugs?
They're a little dilated.
I was thinking the same thing.
I think that the first story is true. The second story is a lie.
Really?
Kenneth Lofgren thinks
Purely
the
because
opposite.
of her
I agree with
lizard
Kenneth.
eyes.
Yeah.
Wait, but what happens when we agree with Ken?
Oh, I don't know. That's
My
never
sister used to
happened.
call
it's
them
when
cow
I-
eyes.
Really?
Yeah, my sister would be like, "You cow eyes." I'd be like, "Okay."
All right, well, let's take a vote. And Brett, what was your vote again?
First story is a lie.
I think the first story is a lie too. What do
I
you-
think
Go ahead.
the first story is a lie.
Yeah, but Jessica thinks the first story is true.
I do.
Yeah.
I'm going first story's true.
You're with me?
Yeah.
The only reason I would
Yeah.
think the second story is a lie because you couldn't remember how you procured the 24 cans
Yeah,
of beer.
that's
weird
Yeah.
to me. That's weird
Yeah,
to
what's with the
me.
fucking
You
beers,
always remember
Jenny?
your first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to
Yeah.
get 'em.
And to vomit just on one beer.
remember.
I don't know. That,
All
that
right.
got me too.
So which story is the lie?
Okay. Well, the first story is a lie.
I never get it
Well, then
right.
where'd you
I
get the
never
beer?
get it right.
Where'd you get the
I
fucking
don't
beer?
remember. I don't remember I got the beer.
God damn it.
Dude, God damn it, dude. Fucking
right.
bullshit.
Raven Basher got it wrong, too.
I think why my
Wow.
eyes got big is because I was remembering it
All the
happening
stuff.
and being like,
And
oh,
all
yeah.
the drugs and alcohol.
I remember that.
Kenneth Lofgren got Ken got it right.
Yeah.
So
all
you
right,
Ken
all
goes
right.
fine.
Oh, Kenny never
Congratulations.
gets them right.
I
Yeah,
know.
Ken, you
I
piece
got
of
it
shit.
right. I got it right. All right. So let's move on to Sarah's stories real quick.
Sarah was born with a condition called Pelicatuli.
Polyatuli.
Go ahead, Sarah.
Polyacity.
I was like, no chance that was it, right?
Do you know how to spell that?
Polyle, I believe.
Yeah, you would know that if you had just searched it. You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
Well, it's been a long time since I've. But yeah,
Maybe if it plagued your life.
I'm quite sure that's it. You can check me.
I'm quite sure.
We're not allowed
Yeah.
to Google.
How do I say
okay.
it one more time? How do I say it?
Polyactily.
Polyactily, which is having an extra finger or toe. And in her case, she had a 6th right toe, pinky toe, a little one. Your parents had it removed when you were just a little tiny tot, right? And you never found out about it.
Newborn.
I never know whether to tell it to them or tell it to the audience as
Tell
her.
it to the audience like in bullet points. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sarah had the toe. Sarah's parents had the toe removed. Sarah had a bunion for a long time. She didn't tell her parents. They've been very rarely in that condition. They can grow back the toe or finger that you got cut off. So the bunion started getting bigger and bigger. At 7 or 8 years old, she couldn't fit her right foot into a ballet shoe anymore, and she's starting to feel like she's morphing into something. You end up quitting ballet. You're crying. Your parents come tell you what's going on, and you got it taken care of.
Yes.
Okay.
What do you think of these stories?
What do I think?
Yeah.
I think the second one is the truth.
All right, let's see your second one.
Which
I'm with
is
you on that. I'm
which
with you
is
on that.
when Sarah was 4 years old, her parents enrolled her early in kindergarten, and soon after she stopped responding to anybody or speaking at all because she was embarrassed of a speech impediment. She was diagnosed with extreme hearing loss. Went to school for the deaf for a year. They found out she could hear fine and was faking the entire thing. And I think that's the meat
Look,
and
she can
potatoes
barely
of it.
contain herself over there. Look at her. She's like,
I'm kind of
Because
into
that
both.
one's true, dude.
yeah.
That first one's a lie. She didn't hide a toe.
Can't you see her? I'm going to tell a story that I had an extra fucking toe. Isn't that ridiculous?
I just know how dumb the Midwest can be. So that's why I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
you actually, how long did you go to that deaf school?
For a half year.
For a half a year?
Yeah, enough where I got held back and I had to do kindergarten again. I had to.
Well, then you ended
Yeah.
up just in the right age group.
Exactly.
God, it's so
yeah.
tricky because I can't believe that a mother would like not get that the toe was growing back. That's so weird. Or a mom was sitting around like, "Fuck, I haven't seen my kid's toes in a
When
year."
do kids
You
start
know what I
bathing
mean? That's
themselves?
weird.
Isn't 7 or 8 maybe when you make
Yeah,
that
you do.
transition?
They're like, go get in the tub.
Yeah.
And you just do.
I
Yeah,
remember
but you still go in there and make sure they clean up.
You always
and all
wear
that.
socks.
Only when you have a
I
question
did.
like,
I always
hey,
wear socks.
I think I got chiggers. What are these, Mom, Dad?
I did everything to not show that right.
Yeah, if I had a nickel, you know.
I did not want them to
about
see
this.
that.
Oh yeah.
So-
Also, she was humiliated about it. She's a kid. She's confused. She did a good. She made an effort to hide it, right?
Oh, every effort possible.
Every
I
effort
went
possible.
to great lengths for
She
no one
went-
to ever see my right
You
foot.
had a lot of shame growing up.
Yes.
But
Good
Brett,
Midwest girl.
Yes.
so you
Yeah.
think the second story is not
Still
true,
with me
right,
today,
Brett?
Jenny.
Yeah, I don't think that second story is true. I don't think a 4-year-old can pull off a scam like that for
I
that
think
many
that
months.
they can.
Yeah.
You want to fight about it?
Yeah, let's do it right fucking now. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, although that's weird to me about the foot thing, but I'm with you on the going to the deaf school for 6 months, so
You remember my favorite
4
holiday
months.
movie, Scrooged?
or for half a year.
Scrooge, right? Whenever
Yeah.
at the end and they get the kid to finally say, God loves everyone, or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Nice.
He stayed silent for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had the condition though.
Yeah, but
Yeah, aside from the fact that that's
was-
fiction,
I know, right? That's what I was just gonna
Yeah,
say.
killer story though.
he really was an autistic kid who didn't speak, and that was his breakthrough, was Christmas.
Yeah, right?
Sarah's saying she faked the whole thing. This was
you know what her
tiny
breakthrough
kid
was?
But she didn't
faking
fake
it.
that she couldn't speak all the
I
time,
was
right?
unconscious, so
Well,
She's just didn't
faking
speak
that
in
she
school.
can't hear.
Yeah, but then
Yes.
so what? How do we not
That
ask
seems
this?
like a hard thing to get away with.
What about? How'd you survive 6 months in that environment? Did you learn sign language?
well, yes.
What can
Did
show
you
us some
just boil
sign
your
language
cover?
right now?
Well,
Show
it
us some
was,
sign
it wasn't
language.
6 months.
Show us some sign language, Sarah.
It wasn't. I can do let's see, what was it?
She was 4.
A B C D E F let's
I know
see.
YMCNA.
J, but
Well, it was like
L,
four
M,
months because it was
N,
half of the school year, so
Uh-huh.
it wasn't quite 6 months. But yes,
And at
I was
4.
learning stuff.
But I'll tell you, if
forget
I
that.
knew
I
that
mean, I
much
used to
sign
speak-
language right now, of
Uh-huh.
course she knew
A,
it.
B,
I don't know that. I
C,
don't know
D.
about that.
E.
This might be it right
Anyway,
here. This
yeah,
might be why
anyway.
that one's a lie.
And then this is Z.
Hey, I didn't know that. I thought that was just what Zorro did. You know?
No, this really is how you do Z.
Yeah, but my favorite was when you go from I to J.
Yeah,
So
Did you
cool.
see
Right.
that
I remember,
meme
like-
that was floating around during Christmas where it's this little kid, like 2 years old, pre-verbal, and he's on Santa's lap and he's
he's
so
doing the
scared
help
and he's doing help and sign language. That made me laugh so hard. All right, let's take a vote. What are people online saying?
Let's see. Kenneth Lofgren saying this story is a lie, but it was during a fucking recap, and I don't know which recap. But Kenny's skeptical.
About which one?
Just
That's what I
in
mean. I'm not
general.
sure which one he commented that during. And I
Right,
asked
right.
which, and he didn't respond, but I'm sure he's there.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's take a vote. Brett, you say the deaf one is the lie, right?
Yes, definitely.
And what about you, Jenny?
I say the deaf is the real one. It's the true story.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm with her.
Yeah.
I think the first one's a
Shit.
lie.
I've got no idea.
I think the deaf one is the lie, but it is weird to me that you could hide the foot thing. What was your mother fucking doing? Was she not parenting correctly, your mother?
She was a working mom.
Oh, she was. What did your mom do
Yes,
for a
we
living?
were a 2-income household. We had
Uh-huh.
to
The
leave,
working foot.
so-
Yeah.
Did you make any
Yeah.
clocks
Yeah.
while you were there?
I don't get it either. If you're...
No,
They
okay,
teach-
yeah, that's what they do. Yeah, no, I did not.
Oh, is that what they do?
That was good, Just.
I actually think I got it mixed up because I think it's the School of the Blind that makes the clocks.
Oh, God. The only people who don't need a clock.
All right, I'm gonna say
Deaf
the deaf school is a lie. I just can't believe
Well,
that.
okay, fine.
They're both sound. I hope they're not both lies. That would be
no,
terrible.
I sent her the rules.
I'm
Okay.
playing
Okay.
by the
All
by the
right.
rules.
Here's the thing. I know a girl who has the 6-digit thing on the same spot you had it, but she just still has it, and she's got 6 toes on one side.
She never got it removed.
Never got it removed.
Does it have a toenail on it? I'm very
Yeah,
obsessed
it's
by
it's
that.
totally normal looking, and it's like it's not gross. It just looks like if you glance at it, it's just like well, that's a lot of toes. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's an aphrodisiac for some
Yeah.
cultures.
Oh, word. Yeah, I bet some
Yeah.
For
people
her
are into that.
ex-husband.
Yes,
He'd go nuts
he
for
would
that.
go
Oh
ape
my
over
God.
that extra toe.
Yeah. And
Yeah, some
I'm-
painters are obsessed with it.
well, I was gonna say a point that was gonna help me was that she knew the terminology for it and she could spell it and all that shit. But would she think to look it up though if she was gonna tell that story? And then I thought, well, she could have like a sibling that has this or some shit.
Yeah,
like
is
that.
it genetic? Did you have anyone else in your family that had extra
No.
digits or extra?
No, there was
yeah.
not that I know of, but
Uh-huh.
it's sort of one of those things. I think people would be outspoken about it now,
Uh-huh.
but then,
I think she helped out a lot with the water crisis in Flint, Michigan.
Yeah.
And this is a real story that she stole from some other poor kid with a 6 toe.
Fuck
Yeah.
yeah. I think the school for the deaf one is the lie. I'm going first story true.
Okay, I'm gonna go first story true. Although they both sound completely ridiculous. Were your parents ever like, "What the fuck is wrong with you"? Were they ever like?
they still are.
Yeah.
And my mom, God bless her soul, like when she died, she goes, "You are a freak."
And then die.
All right, I'm gonna say the deaf thing is a lie. The first story is true.
First one's a lie.
First one's a lie.
All right,
You
Sarah,
ready?
which one
Yes.
is the lie?
The deaf story is true.
How could that
Right.
be?
Yes.
Look at
that.
Got
be.
it. Yes, we
Oh my
did.
God.
Yes,
for
get
fucking two.
some.
And you two really get me.
Yeah.
Really, man, I feel like bonded to you now.
Man.
Like I have some new friends.
I cannot
good
It's
with
believe
like a
that.
I'm not
club
good
or
with chicks, am
something.
I?
Where did you pull the 6 toe story?
A college friend had that,
Yeah, maybe.
and Julie
Maybe
Deutsch.
Julie, shout out Julie. Hey, you're not gonna
Just
believe this, but
outed her.
Julie, come in.
You just outed her. Jesus.
Deutsche on the right foot side.
Yeah, but I was fascinated because I always thought just leave it there. That'd be pretty badass to have,
Yeah.
to have a
Wow.
6 toe.
Yeah.
I can't believe your parents didn't were like, shut up with her being deaf. Like, I can't believe
It's the
that.
Midwest.
Yeah.
you
And
just
what-
you
like-
do whatever the doctor says.
Yeah,
In the
you're
Midwest,
just like,
the doctor
oh, okay.
is like God.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, oh, he's right.
Yeah, people didn't
Yeah.
question as much back then.
No.
They didn't with the doctors and stuff.
There was no Google, no internet.
Yeah.
in my day,
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
didn't even have
Var-
electricity. No, it's
Wow.
but
Vargas and
Yeah.
Ken were 2 for 2 tonight.
Oh, they
Wow.
got
Yeah,
Michael
I'm over.
Vargas. Hello, Mike Vargas.
Shout
He-
out
he got
Vargas.
it
hi
right.
Vargas.
Wow.
Vargas
Wow.
knows me. He gets me.
All right.
Handsome fella, Vargas.
Well, you guys have been interesting guests. Thank you very much for being
Thank
our
you.
first guest of the
Thank you.
year. We had a long vacation.
Happy
We are
New
back on
Year.
schedule, everybody. So I hope people that are watching will keep tuning in to us. And for those of you that are listening, know that we go live on Mondays at the Comedy Store's YouTube at 4:30 and most Fridays at 8:30. And if you ever want to play along live, please come do that. And thank you guys for the wonderful viewership and listenership that we have had. Our numbers are doing pretty well. And tell people about our story. Come and follow us on our own YouTube, if you don't mind, or on our own
Please,
Twitter.
the Liars Club. That would be great.
Yeah, yeah. What can you guys talk about yourselves that you want to push that people can know about? Is
Promote.
Jenny?
Anything promote.
I have some stuff happening that's I can't say. But
Wow.
it
NDA.
should be exciting. You can follow me on at Jenny Zigrino on everything, on TikTok,
Shit.
on Instagram, Twitter.
Why do you like
all that
TikTok so
shit.
much?
I don't like TikTok. I just have to do it.
It's the next one, man.
Come on.
Oh, you're like really
Gary
big on
Vee
TikTok.
challenge.
Well, if you guys ever do get a chance to
Cool.
see Jenny perform, Jenny is really one of the funniest comedians. You're very funny,
Oh, thank
Jenny.
you
I
so
got
much.
to shoot you in Montreal, photograph you in
Oh
Montreal.
yeah.
And you killed
That
it
was so
there. Yeah, that
fun.
was, you had a really good set there.
Thank
Very
you.
fun,
I think I
very
heard
fun.
you on Sirius XM.
Probably.
Yeah,
I'm
awesome.
getting that.
Thought so.
And what about you,
Money.
Sarah?
You can find me at Sarah J. Halstead on all social media platforms. And my comedy special, RVs and Cats, is coming out in late January, early February on Amazon. I'm going to be at Improv Brea January 8th. Can I do that?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Of course.
Yeah. And
This don't come out till January 9th, though.
oh
No,
my,
I'm kidding.
even though we're live.
Yeah.
Live will be January 9th.
Yeah.
And all my shows are on my website, Sarah J. Halstead.
Oh,
Oh, I
wonderful.
forgot. I have a podcast, Gaudy Positive.
Oh, I love
Gaudy?
that.
You said Gaudy?
Gaudy Positive.
Oh, very nice,
Yeah.
very nice.
What do you
So
mean by
tune in.
Gaudy?
Like Gaudy. Like it's gaudy.
Oh,
Positive?
gotcha.
It's like body positive, but gaudy positive. You
Yeah.
get it.
I love it.
And
Thank
what about you,
you.
Michael? What do you have shaken that you want to share with everybody?
Well, Vargas says you can find Jess on Tinder, and I thought that was great.
Yeah.
You
go
can.
look. Go look,
Yeah.
Michael Vargas. Go
Yeah,
look.
Vargas, look it up.
I saw some Comedy Store people on that
Oh, you
bitch,
did?
dude.
You
Fuck
did?
yeah, I did.
When I was on it, I never saw them because they're not looking for my age.
Follow my Instagram, High Five Michael, HIGHFIVE Michael. I post my dates. I'm around town all the time.
Wonderful. And how about you, Brett?
I mentioned the podcast Issues with Andy every Friday on YouTube. And you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at IBrettMyPants.
Fucking
That's
great.
Yeah, you've been
handle.
killing it on Twitter lately there, Brett.
Oh, well, thank
You're
you.
very welcome. You can follow me at Felicia Michaels all across the board. And congratulations on the special that you just shot.
Yeah,
Uh,
congrats.
I
That's so
had
cool.
shot a special, and it's up on Amazon as well. And it's a great place to have people see your stuff. So
Oh,
good
great.
for you on
I'll
that.
check it
You can
out.
also check out my documentary that's up there called Pervs. I would appreciate that. And
Pervs?
Pervs.
It's really good.
I'm
Wow.
definitely going to watch that.
Yeah.
Pervert.
You interview this call girl lady that's in a booth.
Ooh.
You know,
It's
like
really
the
good.
old school,
Yeah.
where
Like the dollhouse kind of shit.
yeah, kind of stuff.
Yeah, and all these comics go in there and talk to her.
Yeah.
And they
Joey Diaz is in it,
Yeah.
Felipe Esparza, Lori
Oh.
Kilmartin, a bunch of people are in
Oh, I
it.
love
Oh, I
that.
can't
Yeah,
wait.
yeah.
Cool.
All right, your turn, Jessica.
I'm Jessica Wellington. Follow me at Jess Wellington 2 on everything.
Jesus Christ.
You can find me on
My impression of Jessica at Christmas dinner to my kids. Y'all got some vape juice. I was like, what, Jessica?
and we traded info and shit. Yeah, we did. And we had the same sweater on. So
There you
Matched
go.
on Tinder.
I don't go that young, Felicia. 23 is my lowest, okay? No, but follow me at Just Wellington 2 on everything. Also, check out our live shows that are coming up. We have one at the Ice House on January 10th at 8:30. And then we have one here in the Belly Room on January 26th at 8 o'clock. Check those out. And you have been lied to.
Thanks, guys.